Hi everyone, Persephone here. It's been a while since I've shared a video, and part of the reason for that is I just needed to find my inspiration and what it was that I really had to say. So anyway, today I found it. I realized what's so important to me is living a magical life. And that's something that I've been, sorry, let me just adjust this, really just kind of intentional about in the last several months, well, the beginning of the year. Really thinking about how cultivating that sense of magic in my life and always knowing that I am connected to source, the divine, God, goddess, whatever word you want to use, it's cool. I use them all. So anyway, I got this idea after having something absolutely magical happen this morning, which I will say more and more often I'm having just like magical moments and magical days all the time. And I just thought about how life is magical. Life is so magical, and I want to share that. So this might be the first in a series, just sort of an ongoing series, because I want to share the magic that I experience with other people, because I know sometimes it can be hard to see the magic in our own lives. Sometimes we deny it. Sometimes we are afraid to believe in it. So I thought maybe if I share mine, it might inspire you. It might help you see the magic in your own life and be able to cultivate that magic in your life. So, all right. So what happened today in particular was like I do most days, I like to draw a tarot card. It's part of my spiritual practice and also my ongoing tarot study. The two kind of go hand in hand. So, and I got a brand new deck, and it's the Animal Wisdom Tarot by Dawn Verunke, illustrated by Ola Leola, which I think is a fabulous name. Okay, so let me back up and say, I've had some painful stuff happen in the last week or two that I've been dealing with, that I know has been a part of my growth process, but it's also been painful. So anyway, yeah, and I've already gotten the 9 of Swords this past week. I've already gotten the 10 of Swords. Like, trust me, I'm ready for something else. So today, in this new deck, I got the 3 of Feathers, right? Which is essentially the 3 of Swords. Which, to refresh your memory, or maybe some of you are watching who aren't familiar with tarot at all, in the Rider-Waite-Smith real traditional imagery, which a lot of decks follow. So this is the 3 of Swords in the Dirty Pam rendition of the Rider-Waite-Smith, okay? I didn't want that card, but I've learned enough to know to just breathe into it and just pay attention and learn my lesson, right? Listen to what it's telling me. So I don't even remember the order of things. Like, this was just super intense and crazy. I read about it, you know. I'll always read whatever the book that goes with the deck has to say about it, for an extra layer, whatever. I like to read a lot of different sources. I always I'm open to whatever I need to learn from my card that day. Often I'm going deeper with the card meaning because I'm learning about what it means for my life. So Anyway, I read that and I was just like, ugh, I don't know what to do with this. And I put it aside and I picked up the book, like not a tarot book, just like a book that I've been reading for probably the last week and a half, 2 weeks. It is A Course in Miracles Made Easy. Okay. So I picked it up. I was like, I'm just going to read my book for right now that I've been reading. And it turns out that the chapter that I was getting ready to start today was essentially the chapter all about pain and suffering. Okay. So I read a little bit of it and then I put 2 and 2 together and I was like, holy crap, what's happening? I was like, that's beyond coincidence. Okay. This is some magic happening. So what I often do in my process of tarot practice and study, I have a lot of different tarot books and I will go to my bookshelf and I will grab, I try to do like no more than 3 and I'll look at the different things that they have to say. So, lately it's crazy, but I am always reaching for the little white book from the Tarot de Maria Celia deck because I'm going to do a video about this as being one of my top 3 beginner decks, but also for anybody. The little white book in this deck is phenomenal. I love its treatment of the numbers, numerology. So, but anyway, and I grabbed Tarot Wisdom and I grabbed Tarot and the Tree of Life, okay, which goes through, it's just the minor arcana, which is what I've been really focused on for a while. And I haven't reached for this Tarot and the Tree of Life in months. Okay. So I reached for it today. And what I read in this book, like I felt like a couple of things today felt like they finally kind of cracked the code for me with the 3 of Swords, because I feel like the 3 of Swords is a really tricky card, especially if you're someone who really reads by the numbers and the elements. Yeah, I'm not gonna like go into that a lot right now, but it's tricky. And so it's been sort of like a sticky card for me, right? So, okay, yeah. When this card turns up in a reading, it's difficult to clap your hands and exclaim, "How delightful! This must be your lucky day." Yet, as always, the 3 is the fulfillment of the suit. Okay. The essence of the Suit of Swords is the pain that comes through facing the truth and engenders growth. So truth is definitely part of what I associate with the element of swords, with air, right? It's truth, it's your mind, it's justice, it's your intellect. Okay, so this is good. I'm hanging in there. And this talks about where it is on the tree of life. Not surprisingly then, in the place of the supernal mother, where we are born into the world, into this vale of tears, as it were, we come to the quintessential card of the Suit of Swords. So I want to see where, okay. And at some point before I read this, my husband and I sat here, like maybe 5 minutes before I read this, we sat here and we were just kind of talking about, because I had read a little bit into this chapter, right? So we were kind of talking about the usefulness of pain versus the uselessness of pain, basically, because looking at the different perspectives and trying to kind of like integrate it all, because in A Course of Miracles, it's basically like, it's saying like, stop glorifying pain. Like it's not necessary. God has no desire for you to suffer, right? But then on the flip side, we know that growth is possible through pain. And a lot of times, like, that's how we learn. And, so it's kind of navigating all of this. And so, my husband and I were having a conversation about it. We're talking about some different perspectives, the Buddhist perspective on it, of kind of just kind of looking at your pain and examining it and, not backing down from it, kind of just going up to it and facing it and walking through it, kind of thing. So, what good can we see in this particular image? How can it be viewed as a fulfillment of the suit of swords? This question leads us to the ultimate issue about swords and arguably life. What is pain and what is it for? What are we supposed to do with it? And what is the appropriate response to suffering? And I was just like, weren't we just asking these questions? This is how everything this morning, it was just this magical brew happening as we're sitting here in our living room, right? The next line is a paragraph all its own. We are supposed to take pain into our hearts. That's what we are supposed to do with pain. When pain comes, it's time to grieve. But what's fascinating and heartening is that when we stop denying and resisting pain, when we allow pain into our hearts, it doesn't come unaccompanied. Something else comes along with it. In my life, it's been peace and faith and love and hope, a sense of the divine presence. The worst part of pain, we often find, results from resisting it, pushing against it, right? This is what we had just been talking about. It can't be true. I won't let it be true. I don't accept it. I can't stand it. I can't bear it. If we can somehow release the resistance and say, this happened. I don't know how I'm going to live through this, but it really has happened. Something else is released. Panic, perhaps. The fear of not being able to go on. The grieving is clean. The grieving is clean. And I read that and the grieving is clean. The feeling is of a clean wound. The blood flows, the tears flow. Nothing festers. It all gets flushed through. It hurts and hurts and hurts, and it keeps on hurting, and then it heals. So I'm looking at this card and looking at the rain, right? The rain on this pierced heart, and just thinking about this clean grieving when we face it head on, right? We don't try to deny it. We don't try to repress it. We just face it, right? There's nothing to do with pain except take it into our hearts. We can't get through pain by letting time elapse. We can't lock it in the closet, put it under a blue tablecloth and figure, I'll be back in 11 months when it's gone. Oops, there it is waiting for me. It's like the dirty laundry or the dishes in the sink. Time will not get them clean. So that's a lot out of Tarot and the Tree of Life. So I felt like that illuminated the meaning for me. It made me so go deeper with the meaning of the Three of Swords, but just kind of also how I approach painful experiences and suffering in my own life. And, maybe how I can relate to my own clients who are experiencing pain and suffering. So anyway, I read all that. I went back to my book, Course in Miracles Made Easy. And then I found the line that is the line that for me ties it all together, right? Because we've got the suit of swords, air, the mind, right? So what the heck are we doing with this pierced heart for the Three of Swords? Like, how does that go together? Remember, this is not a tarot book. This is not a tarot book. Not a tarot book. The word tarot is not once used in this book. this sentence. The right-thinking mind regards pain and difficulty as a call for kindness and compassion. The right-thinking mind regards pain and difficulty as a call for kindness and compassion. And there it is. There it is. This makes sense now. This makes sense now. And it's really, I'm very big on integration, the integration of the four elements, the four suits, that it's the integration of the four of them where we live a whole and healthy life, right? And so for me now, this card is very much an integration of heart and mind, right? It tells us that basically what we do with this, like how we let this affect us, has to do with what we're thinking about it. What we're letting our minds do with what's happening here, right? And are we going to let the pain and suffering make us hateful and bitter, vengeful, have a pity party, whatever it is? Or are we going to take this pain and suffering and are we going to think differently about it? And are we going to say, okay, I feel that. That's a call for kindness and compassion, either towards ourselves or towards other people, another person. So that was my morning of magic. Not easy, right? But the way all of those things came together, this new deck coming last night, me pulling this card, I just so happened to be reading this book, and I just so happened to be just starting the chapter that's talking about pain and suffering. I just so happened to pull this book off the shelf that I haven't pulled off the shelf in months. So maybe you've learned a little bit about the Three of Swords. Maybe you've learned a little bit about my tarot practice and my ongoing tarot study and how, what that looks like for me. Maybe you've learned a little bit about what happens when you cultivate a mindset of magic and connection and always expecting, I will say, God to show up, always knowing that spirit is in the midst wherever you are, always knowing that source is breathing as you and seeing as you and experiencing this life as you, because the more I live in that knowing, in that space, the more my life is filled with these experiences of serendipity, of too much coincidence to call it coincidence, right? The more my life is filled with magic. So this was my life is magical moment. I have no idea what future ones are going to look like. It's really going to be a matter of, oh my goodness, that was so magical, and I'm going to go sit down and make a video about it. So I have no idea what it's going to look like. I don't know if it will always involve tarot. It might not. It might involve books I'm reading. It might involve encounters I have with people. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I think this is something that I'm going to this is a thread I want to follow for a while. So we'll see what happens. I hope that you are living your best magical life, and I would love to know if you would like to comment if you had magic happen in your life today, or if you want to make a video about how your life is magical, and maybe I'll do like hashtag life is magical. So if you would like to have a tarot coaching session or a deep transformational coaching session with an interspiritual minister who believes in magic, hit me up. I will put my website down in the, the space below, whatever. So yeah, I guess that's it. I guess I'm done. Hopefully I'll be coming at you soon with some more Life is Magical videos, and probably some other videos too. I feel like it's time to get back on the horse and start doing these again. So anyway, have a lovely day or evening, whatever this is for you. And hopefully I'll be coming back at you real soon.